My name is Christine, and in March 2016, I died. It was supposed to be a routine procedure, another step in managing my chronic pain from spinal cord injury and complex regional pain syndrome. But fate, or perhaps divine intervention, had other plans. I'm an artist by profession and have always considered myself pragmatic despite my creative nature. What happened to me that day changed everything I thought I knew about reality, consciousness, and the nature of existence itself. The trouble started with an IV line. I was lying on the hospital bed, waiting for the anesthesia to begin, when something went wrong. The line had been kinked for about 40 minutes, and when it finally straightened out, all the backed up drugs rushed into my system at once. The sensation was immediate and terrifying. My heart! I remember screaming, "My heart!" The words tore from my throat as I felt my heart rate spike dramatically. The next few moments were chaos as nurses rushed toward me, but what happened next defies all logical explanation. Suddenly, I found myself floating about 8 feet above my own body. I watched in fascination and horror as the scene unfolded below me. One nurse was frantically searching through a cabinet, pulling items out and scattering them across the floor in her haste. The nurse assistant sprinted into the surgery room and emerged with the doctor, who immediately began chest compressions. I could hear them arguing about whether to administer medication through my chest or the IV line. At first, I thought I must be dreaming. That had to be it. Just a strange dream from the anesthesia. But then I looked at the EKG monitor. The flat line and blaring alarms told me otherwise. That's when the reality of my situation hit me with crushing clarity. Oh no, I'm dying. The thought barely had time to form before panic set in. I don't want to die. Oh my God. I tried desperately to dive back into my body, but instead, I found myself being pulled backward at what felt like thousands of miles per hour through a dark tunnel. The experience was terrifying until I began to slow down, and that's when I realized something extraordinary. It wasn't actually dark at all. The tunnel was filled with lights, colors I had never seen before, colors that don't exist in our world. As an artist, I've spent my life working with color, but these were beyond anything I could have imagined. The fear melted away as I was enveloped by their beauty. What happened next is almost impossible to describe in human language. I found myself back in the hospital room, but in what seemed to be another dimension entirely. I was seeing everything and everyone through what I can only describe as the eyes of God. The love I felt in that moment was overwhelming, all-encompassing, and unlike anything I've ever experienced on Earth. I saw the receptionist at the front desk, but I didn't just see her physical form. I saw everything about her. I felt her love for her children, experienced her pain, knew her thoughts. I saw the technician and understood his entire life in an instant. Each person I encountered revealed themselves to me not just as bodies, but as beautiful, soul-filled beings. I saw what motivated them, what they feared, what they loved, and I loved them all, deeply and completely, with a love that seemed to come from the very source of creation itself. As I moved through this extraordinary state of awareness, I began to pull back, rising out of the building. I could see people walking on the street below, and I knew their pain, their struggles, their hopes. I loved each of them with that same divine, all-encompassing love. Then came what I can only describe as an information download. There was no voice speaking to me. The knowledge simply appeared in my consciousness, accompanied by absolute love. The message was crystal clear. We are all deeply important to God. Our lives, our struggles, our choices, they all matter profoundly. I understood that life is supposed to be hard. It's a proving ground of sorts, a place where we learn and grow and create something essential to the very existence of the universe. The love we cultivate on Earth especially for those we find difficult to like, somehow expands the universe itself. It does something vital, something necessary for creation itself. I sensed that there was something at stake, that human beings have a crucial role to play in the cosmic scheme of things. Our capacity for love, our choices about how to act and treat others, these things prove something about God, though I still struggle to explain exactly what or how. In this other realm, I found myself surrounded by what seemed to be a crowd of beings. They didn't have human forms. They were more like pink shapes that resonated with their own unique energy signatures. I recognized my great-uncle Steve among them, not by sight, but by some deeper knowing. Surprisingly, I also felt the presence of my grandmother, who was still alive. That's when I received another profound understanding. When we pray for others, we actually send our soul self to their side. Prayer isn't just words. It's an act of love that participates in the very act of creation. The beauty of this place was beyond description. Absolutely, outrageously incredible. Yet even in the presence of this overwhelming love and beauty, surrounded by what felt like my soul family, and in the presence of what I can only describe as the source of all creation, I felt a powerful pull to return. I wanted desperately to go back and tell everyone how loved they were, how important they were, how much everything they did mattered. The next thing I knew, I was back in my body, squeezing the doctor's hand. Later, I learned that my heart had stopped for 2 minutes and 45 seconds. It seems impossible that so much could have happened in such a short time, but in that other realm, time had no meaning. Everything seemed to happen at once, or perhaps outside of time altogether. The experience changed me profoundly. My understanding of reality expanded beyond anything I could have imagined. As a scientifically minded person, I've spent countless hours since then studying physics, trying to make sense of what I experienced. The world I witnessed seemed to operate according to different laws, with more dimensions and senses than we have access to in our physical existence. But the changes went beyond just my understanding of reality. Since my return, I've experienced things that I'm hesitant to talk about. I feel others' emotions, even strangers, with startling clarity. I have dreams that seem to come true. Sometimes I walk into a room and receive what feels like memories, except they belong to other people. Twice when I've shared these insights with others, prefacing them with, "Does this mean anything to you?" they've broken down, crying in recognition of the truth I've somehow accessed. These new abilities frighten me sometimes. I never asked for them, and as an artist, I already felt somewhat outside mainstream society. Now I feel even more different, though my Native American friends have helped me understand these experiences as something akin to the visions of their medicine women. Still, I struggle to reconcile these experiences with my rational, scientific mindset. What I know with absolute certainty is this: the wall between our world and that other realm of pure love and understanding is surprisingly thin, as delicate as a strand of baby's hair. The love we seek is right there, resonating just beyond our normal perception. Our world isn't supposed to have all the beauty I witnessed on the other side. Instead, we're meant to create that beauty here through our own capacity for love. That's our purpose, to bring that divine love into our physical realm, to transform our world through human love into a new consciousness. The experience left me with an unshakable belief in God and a deep understanding that what we call reality is just a small fraction of what actually exists. Our physical world, with its limited 5 senses, is like a tiny glass cube within an infinite expanse of reality. In that larger reality, there are more elements and senses than we can imagine in our earthly existence. Sometimes I still struggle to make sense of it all. How do you continue with normal life after experiencing something so profound? How do you explain to others that what we think is real is just a small part of a much larger picture? But I've come to understand that's part of the challenge, to live in this world while maintaining awareness of that larger reality, to help bring more of that divine love into our everyday existence. I know this story sounds incredible. Before it happened to me, I probably wouldn't have believed it either, but I can only share what I experienced, what I learned, and how it changed me. Every day since then has been a journey of trying to integrate that profound understanding of love and interconnectedness into my life here on Earth. And while I still have many questions, one thing remains absolutely clear. We are all deeply, profoundly loved, and our lives have far more meaning and purpose than we could ever imagine.